Sri Sachidananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai. Sai Baba the Master. Chapter 16. At the Threshold of Eternity. The clock ticks on. For 56 long years since 1858, devotees went on pouring in and out of Shirdi for the darshan of Sai Baba, the diamond on the dunghill. Every day, the devotees that flocked there numbered hundreds. What Baba said in the early days of his arrival at Shirdi came literally true. Long before 1908, when Shirdi was still a quiet, nameless village, Baba said, mansions will rise up in this village, big wigs will come, guns will be fired, chariots, horses, elephants, all will come, grand processions will be held. People then laughed at his naive imagination, but around the year 1914, all these came to pass, and Sai Baba's glory was steadily increasing like the glory of the sun towards noontide. Why wonder if the then famous saint Sri Madhavnath described Sai Baba as the Kohinoor among saints? The joy and zeal of Sai's devotees seemed an unending spring season. In 1914, Sai Baba made a very casual remark to one of his devotees. He pointed out a piece of waste land of the village to Mrs. Bapu Sahib Jog and said, "It is my site. A big mansion will rise up here and we shall live there. Big people will come look after me." Mrs. Job took it as one of the very many inscrutable things he said and hoped that one day she might understand what it meant. 2 years passed by and she forgot all about it. The day advances. It was the Hindu festival of Vijayadashami in 1916. Devotees flocked to Shirdi and the whole village looked like big fair. All the people of the village went into procession to attend the ceremonial Simolangan, carrying worship materials like incense, singing and playing instruments. They would cross the border line of the village and then return. This ceremony was probably a relic of the custom of ancient kings proceeding on wars of conquest across the borders of their kingdoms on that auspicious day. In the evening, when all the people were returning, Sai Baba suddenly flew into wild rage. It was one of the Baba's characteristic ways to flare upon such auspicious occasions. He took off his headdress, kafni, and his langota publicly, tore them up, and flung them in the sacred fire. Baba's eyes burned like live coal, and his whole body seemed to glow with an uncanny aura. He stood stark naked in the center of the mosque and shouted, "You fellows, look at me and decide whether I am a Muslim or a Hindu." That is, whether he was circumcised in the Muslim fashion or not. None dared to pacify Baba. At last, the leper devotee Bhagoji made bold to approach Baba and then succeeded in tying a new langota around Baba's waist. Though Baba did not physically obstruct him, he shouted and cursed. Bhagoji gently said, "Baba, today is the holy Simolangan. Why are you angry and why do you frighten people thus?" Striking the ground with Satkar's staff, he said, "This day is my Simolangan." Baba did not calm down and the people doubted whether the usual Chavadi procession could be conducted that day. After an hour or so, Baba cooled down, dressed him up, and resumed his usual seat. A little later, he took part in the procession. What Baba meant when he said, "This day is my Simolangan," none could understand. The unfinished temple. Sai Baba's ways are inscrutable. What he decided to accomplish, he never declared it publicly, nor did he ask anyone to do so as a favor to ask him. For Allah is his Malik, that is, God is his master and Lord. So Baba's very will had a tremendous influence on the course of events, and his spirit being omnipresent and omnipotent. The persons needed for the accomplishment of his project were drawn to him, and they would, in course of time, do what Baba, or better perhaps, his Lord had ordained. Bapu Shahid Bhuti, a famous millionaire of Nagpur, was drawn to Baba and was so impressed with his spiritual power that he wished to have a building at Shirdi. One night he was sleeping in Dikshit's Vada. Baba prepared Baba appeared in his dream and ordered him to build a vada of his own with a temple in it. Shama was also sleeping there. Bhuti woke up and found Shama shedding tears and asked him the cause of his grief. Shama said, "Baba appeared in my dream and ordered distinctly, build the vada with the temple. I shall fulfill the wishes of all." On hearing the words of Baba, I was overpowered with emotion. Bapu Sahib was surprised at the precise correspondence between their dreams. He immediately drew up a plan for the Vada with the cooperation of Shama and Kaka Sahib Dikshit, placed it before Baba, who blessed it. Work was commenced soon, and under the supervision of Shama, the ground floor, the cellar, and the well were completed. Off and on, Baba visited the site on his way to or from Lendi and suggested certain improvements. Further work was entrusted to Bapu Sahib Jog, and in the course of it occurred to Bapu Sahib Booty that there should be an open platform in the center of which the idol of Muralidhar, Lord Krishna, playing on his flute, could be installed. As usual, when Baba passed by, Shama spoke about it to him. Baba readily gave his consent but added, "After the temple is complete, I will come and stay there." Staring at the Vada, he further added, "We shall live, move, and play there, embrace each other, and be happy." Then Shama asked Baba whether that was auspicious moment to commence the work, that being the moment of Baba's consent. Baba affirmed it. Shama immediately fetched a coconut and broke it. Order was placed with sculptors for an idol of Muralidhar. Booty was happy that work was progressing satisfactorily, and that too with the blessings of Sai Baba. A farewell and cryptic message. Days passed briskly as though they enjoyed the rising glory of Shirdi. The year 1918 commenced as inconspicuously as any other, and a few months passed. Udavesh Bhua, a great devotee, usually visited Sai Baba every fortnight. One day, when he arrived, Baba told him not to take the trouble of visiting him so often thereafter. He said the same to another Mrs. Chandrabai, also in July 1918. Not long after this, one day Sai Baba gave some poli with boiled fowl to Qasim, the son of Bade Baba, and told him, "Go to Aurangabad and see Fakir Shamsuddin Mia. Give him this money of 250 rupees. Let him do Maulu, Kovali, and Nyas." Maulu is the singing of devotional songs about Prophet Muhammad. Qawwalis or devotional songs about saints sung to the accompaniment of tabla or drum. Nyas is feeding the poor people. Baba then told Qasim to go to another fakir, Banne Mia, decorate him first with garland which Baba had given him thereafter. Qasim was to tell Banne Mia, on the ninth day of ninth month, Allah himself takes away the lamp which he had lit. Such is Allah's mercy. Then Sai Baba gave him 250 rupees and a garland of Javandi, chrysanthemum, flowers, but Qasim pleaded that he was a stranger to Aurangabad and that he may not easily contact the said fakirs. So Baba asked one Chote Khan to accompany him. Both Qasim and Chote Khan then started along with a servant by name Amir. When they arrived at Aurangabad, Fakir Shamsuddin himself had come to the station. He was inquiring of the passengers who are the guests that have come from Fakir Sai. Chote Khan and Qasim were surprised at his precognition and bowed to him in reverence. Then Shamsuddin himself repeated the message of Sai Baba word by word. Then he led the three guests home and fed them. With the money sent by Sai Baba, he fed a large number of people. He also performed Kawali and Maulu by night. All this was completed. Next day, Qasim, Chote Khan, and Amir visited Banne Mia's house. They saw him standing still with one hand raised and the other held down, evidently in a trance. A few Arabs at the place warned the visitors not to approach the fakir when he was in a state, and as he would be furious with them. So the visitors waited for 1 long hour, but Banemia showed no sign of regaining normal awareness there. Then Chote Khan mustered all his courage, took the garland which Baba had given them in his hand, and put it around the fakir's neck. Banemia returned to his senses and lowered his raised hand. Chote Khan repeated to him the words of Sai Baba. Ninth day of the ninth month, Allah himself takes away the lamp which he had lit. On hearing the words, Banemia gazed at sky, tears rolled down on his cheek. The party of three left Aurangabad quite thrilled by the happenings, but they could not understand what this is all about. The brick breaks. It was the month of October. One day, Baba left the mosque on his daily rounds. The boy Madhav Fasle was sweeping the mosque. He found the brick which was so dear to Baba on the floor. It was, Baba often said, a token of his guru's love and his life's companion. To prevent the dust from falling on the holy brick, the boy took it up, but suddenly it slipped, fell down, and broke into two. The boy was terrified that he might incur Baba's wrath. Instead, when later Baba saw it, he was very much depressed and said, "It is not the brick that was broken, it is my destiny. It has been my life's companion, and I meditated on the self with its help. It is my very life. It has left me today, and I shall not survive it for long." On the 3rd of October 1918, Raghubir Purandare and H.S. Dikshit were at Shirdi, but Baba sent them away to Bombay. He said to them, "I will go ahead and you will follow me." He gave them permission to go away, saying, "My turbat, tomb will speak, my matti, dust will give you reprise, my name will speak." Baba's health was all right, and he had spoken these words previously, and we did not understand their import, said Dikshit. Shadows of death. About the same time, Ramchandra Patil, devotee of Sai Baba, became seriously ill and medical aid proved ineffective. He was counting his days. Inwardly, he went on pleading for his recovery to his last refuge, Sai Baba. One midnight, Sai Baba appeared physically before him. Patil held his feet firmly and asked Baba to tell him the exact time of his death. Baba was moved and said, "Don't be anxious, your death warrant has been withdrawn and you will soon be all right, but I am worried about Tatya Patil's life. He will pass away on the Vijayadashami day. Do not divulge this to anyone, not certainly to Tatya, for he will be frightened." Indeed, Ramchandra Patil quickly recovered, but he was afraid of Tatya's safety. He shared his secret with Bala Shimpi, the tailor. As the terrible day neared, Tatya fell ill and was bedridden. He could not go to Dwarka Mai for Baba's darshan. Though Baba was also down with fever, Tatya had full faith in Baba that he would save his life. Baba's condition too was fast worsening. Bapu Sahib Bhuti was afraid that if Baba passed away, his Vada would not be consecrated by the touch of Baba's feet, and all his money, lakhs of rupees, would go waste. At one stage, Tatya felt his end was certain. He was getting Udi regularly from Baba. One day, Baba summoned Tatya to the mosque for lunch. As Tatya could not walk, he was carried thither by a fellow devotee. Then Baba gave him a little rice boiled in milk, which he ate with great difficulty. Baba looked inquiringly at Tatya and later burst into tears. And the latter burst into tears. Though he himself was ailing, Baba applied Udi to Tatya's forehead and said, "Tatya, at first I got two swings ready for both of us, but now I have changed my mind. I don't want to take you now. I am going alone. Go home." Then Baba gave Udi to Tatya, and Tatya was taken home. During this period of his illness, Baba made one Mr. Waghe read out to him the sacred book Rama Vijaya once in a week, second time in 3 days, and third round was also finished. When the man was very much exhausted, Baba let him go and observed silence for the most of the day. 7 days before Vijayadashami, a band of fakirs arrived at the mosque. They brought with them a tiger chained to a cart. It was ill and was very furious with pain and suffering. They purchased it from a circus company and were collecting money by exhibiting it in villages. They hoped that Baba would rid the creature of its suffering so that they could sell it at a higher price back to the circus men. "I shall at once rid of its suffering. Bring it here," said Baba. The fakirs untied it and led into the front yard of the mosque. The creature climbed up the steps and stared at Baba as though struck by his radiant face, struck the ground thrice with its tail and fell dead. Indeed, it was released from bondage. It was still 4 days for the holy Vijayadashami, the day in which Sai Baba described as the day of his Simon Mrs. Ando Marwadi, one of the local devotees of Sai Baba, was sitting in front of him. Sai Baba said, "Bai, I am tired of being in Dwarka Mai and Chavadi. I will go over to Bhutiswada where big people will look after me." At that time, Baba's health was far from satisfactory. He stopped his morning trips to Lendi and his begging rounds and only sat in the mosque. His closer devotees like Kaka Sahib Dikshit and Bhuti remained with Baba all the time and were dining daily in the masjid itself. At last, the fatal day of Vijayadashami, 15th of October 1918, dawned. Ramchandra Patil and Bala Shimpi knew what was in store for Tatya. News came that his pulse was getting weaker. Baba too was also very ill and weak. He sat up in the morning and called Mrs. Lakshmi Bai Shinde near him, gave her 5 rupees at first and then 4 rupees, and told her to preserve them. Then after the morning aarti, Baba asked all the devotees to go for lunch. Just a few of devotees like Mrs. Lakshmi Bai Shinde, Bagoji, Bayaji, Bala Shimpi and Nana Sahib Nimonkar stayed with Baba. He told them he did not feel. He told them that he did not feel well there in the mosque and asked them to take him to Dagdi's stone vada of Booty where he would be all right. Saying these last words, he leaned on Bayaji Appaji Patel body and breathed his last. Bagoji noticed it and told Nana Sahib Nimonkar. Nana Sahib then brought a little water and poured it in Baba's mouth, but it all came out. Then Nana Sahib burst out, weeping. It was a terrible blow to the countless devotees, and the whole village of Shirdi felt like a corpse with its spirit gone. The news spread fast, and the whole village rushed to the mosque, weeping and crying. Strangely, Tatya recovered very rapidly and could sit up by noon. Devotees felt that Sai made the supreme sacrifice of his life to save Tatya from certain death. For did not Sai say that did not Sai say that he would even give his own head to save his devotee? A controversy. Soon the matter of these last rites of Baba became the subject of a great controversy. One section of devotees, which included Kushal Chand, said that Baba must be buried in an open plot according to the Muslim custom, and the expenses be borne by those who had been benefiting by his daily bounties. The other group could think of no other way than enshrining his body in Booty's Bada as per Baba's wish. The Mamatadar of Kopargaon, who was there, decided to gather the signatures of the other sections. Those who wanted Baba's wish to be carried out were in the majority, and so it was finally decided that body should be enshrined in an underground cellar beneath the elevated platform in Booty's Vada. In the place of the idol of Muralidhar, the photograph of Sai Baba was placed, which was later replaced by the present marble statue in 1956. The last rites were conducted by Bala Saheb Bhate and Upasani Maharaj. One question has remained unexplained. Baba indicated that proposed shrine of Muralidhar would be his final resting place and said that big people would take care of him there. How did it come to pass? By big people, Baba could hardly be taken to have meant big in a worldly momentary sense, for he was a fakir to the core who carried 2 pins for rupees. Even if he did, Booty is not a small man by any standard. A building worth a few lakhs in those times when Indian money had much greater value than today was no small matter. Besides, it was not just a matter of rupees. A mansion that was to be a temple of Muralidhar was made the temple of Sadguru Sainath, and no great honor can be conceived for a saint or guru. Taking the word big to mean of great spiritual stature, Upasani Baba was a Maharaj, even as Sai Baba was a king, in the sense in which the Christ was called the king. As will be seen in a later section, Sai Baba himself personally ultimized Upasani Shastri into Upasani Baba Maharaj and openly announced that there was no difference between himself and Upasani Baba. Some people, of course, brush aside even the statement of Sai Baba and look upon Upasani Baba as an inferior one, yet they believe that they are devotees of Sai Baba, as though the fact of one of the two being a Sadguru precludes the other of it. To have a Sadguru of his own stature who honor his mortal remains, what greater honor can anyone have, and from what greater soul? In fact, in the annals of spiritual history, we hardly have a parallel. The Buddha, Jesus, not even Lord Krishna and Rama had it. The nearest parallel we have is in Sri Ramakrishna Paramhamsa's mortal remains being honored by his devotee Swami Vivekananda. As if this were not enough, we have already noted how great fakirs like Shamsuddin Mia honored the proclamation of the date of Baba's Samadhi with Maulu, Kavali and Niyas. We also noted how a fakir like Banne Mia shed tears on hearing Baba's message. There is still one more instance to be mentioned. Guru Gobind Maharaj of Khandesh was a very great saint of that time. He was even thought of being Guru Bandhu, literally a spiritual relation through the Guru, that is, a co disciple of Sainath Maharaj. This great saint was laid up with high fever on the Vijayadashami day, the day of Sai Baba's Mahasamadhi. His disciples even feared that his end was near. On that day, Sri Guru Gobind told his principals on that day, Sri Guru Gobind told his disciples and devotees, the Jyoti light of the great Mahatma will soon merge in the moon. Hanuman says, "You be," when his devotees thought that their Guru was referring to his own impending death. He corrected them, saying that he was referring to Sainath of Shirdi. One of these devotees of Sri Guru Gobind, Madan Patil, immediately wrote letters to as many devotees of Sai Baba as he knew to rush to Shirdi to have a final glimpse of the body that was Sai. And he wrote simply out of his faith in the infallibility of Sri Guru Gobind's words. On third day after this, he received a wire from Shirdi that Sai Baba took Samadhi precisely on the day pointed out by Sri Guru Gobind. Then Guru Gobind made all the disciples take bath and then told them that the Jyoti, divine flame, had merged in the moon. On one case of Dutt Maharaj was specially sent by Sri Guru Gobind with the instruction, go and visit the place of the moon. Samadhi or death. Mrs. M.W. Pradhan records her experience. The night after Baba's departure, I saw his body in a dying condition in my dream and said, Baba is dying. Baba replied, people do not talk of saints as dying but as taking samadhi. His body was still. People were mourning. I felt sad. I woke up at 12:30 midnight. In the morning, we got from Anna Chinchnikar a postcard that Baba passed away at 3 p.m. on Holy Dasara, that is October 15th, 1918. True, in the spiritual lore of Hindus and of Muslims, saints were not spoken of as dead, but are said to take samadhi. But what is the difference? Did not Baba die? You may ask. Did not Jesus Christ die? Yes, but he again rose from the dead, and that by his death was in fact a triumph over death, and that is real taking of samadhi, and so did Baba take it. The most prominent features of Baba's spiritual perfection is that even when he was in his body, he was not really in his body, nor was he his body is the sense in which we are our bodies. He who thinks that Baba is at Shirdi has totally failed to see Baba. I am with you wherever you be. I am not at Shirdi only, but in all creatures. Thus, again and again, Baba declared and proved that he was the black dog, Shudra, the bhil, the photograph. The various sadhus, fakirs, saints, and various deities, when visitors came from distant places, Baba would recount their whole history to them, minutest details of their mental states, feelings, and thoughts as though they were his own. Thus, if the separation of body and soul alone be the essence of death, we have to submit that Baba never lived, even when he moved amidst us and acted. If we also add that absence of awareness and the power to speak, act, appear, and move about are the real attributes of death, then Sai Baba was alive but in a quite different form, away from us, but in a quite different way from us. And he is so even now, as is amply proved by the experiences of innumerable devotees. If death was not real death for him, what was birth to him? That is the crux of the problem. For as Bhagavad Gita rightly points out, everything that has a beginning, a birth, must have an end, a death, and that which is without death is also without birth. The former is the body, the latter is the self, as distinguished from the ego, which is false identification of the two. Common mortals identify themselves with their bodies. He who has extricated himself from the former condition that attained and attained the latter is the perfect saint. That is Christhood, that is the kingdom of heaven, the release from sin, the wages of which is death. The full implication of this logically implies that the spirit not merely transcends the body, but whereby saints can resurrect, appear, and disappear physically in any place or in more places and forms than one at the same time. Then, where arises the question of the loss or death of either the spirit or of the body? Yes, saints were rightly said to take samadhi and not die. This is not a vain philosophy to Baba as it was. For Baba himself said that even at his birth he knew that he was the eternal spirit who does not come into being, which is not subject to birth. Then how could he have been in death as we understand it, that his perfection far proceed the birth of his present physical frame, and is also witnessed by the innumerable references to his protection of several persons in their previous lives in the capacity of an powerful God man. But how did Baba realize his self unfettered by his body? By his Guru's grace, for he once said that his Murshad freed him from the limitation of his body and made him realize that he was not his body. But when did he learn it? Again, in the light of his statement quoted earlier, it could only have happened in some earlier birth, so that even the time of his assuming the present physical body, he conquered both birth and death. Though he was born, his birth is not anything like our birth, so his death cannot be the death as we understand it. How complete his mastery over birth and death is can be seen from the following incident. 32 years before his Mahasamadhi, that is in 1886, on a full moon day, Baba was suffering from a severe attack of asthma. On that day, at about 10 p.m., he called Mahasapati to him and said, I am going to see Allah Mia. Protect my body for 3 days. If I return to it, it's all right. If I do not, bury my body in that open land and fix 2 flags there to mark out of the place. So saying, Baba fell down unconscious. His breath stopped and also his pulse. All the people that got the news of Baba's sudden death gathered there and wanted to hold an inquest and bury the body and the place chosen by Baba. But Mahasapati prevented this and held on to Baba's directions. With Baba's body on his lap, he sat for the full 3 days guarding it. On third day, at about 3 p.m., Baba showed signs of life. His breathing commenced. The abdomen began to sway to his inhalations and exhalations. He opened his eyes, stretched his limbs, and sat up. It is interesting to see that Jesus too rose up from the dead on the third day. What is death to such a one? Even years after his final samadhi, there are innumerable instances of Baba exercising his power, even as he did when he was in fleshy tabernacle, that is, to appear physically in the form of fakirs and sadhus and disappear as suddenly and mysteriously. Besides, when he was alive at will, he could appear before his devotees in a dream or vision, as he did to Bhuti and Shama simultaneously. The same he did after his samadhi too. These latter instances we shall note here, leaving the former to a later chapter. First is the case we have quoted at the very beginning of this chapter. Again, the day next to Holy Vijayadashami, on which Baba laid down his body, that is on Wednesday morning, Baba appeared to Lakshman Mama Joshi in his dream and drawing him aside by his hand said, Get up soon. Bapu Sahib thinks that I am dead and so he won't come. You do the worship and Kakada Aarti, morning Aarti. Lakshman daily worshipped Baba before worshipping to other village deities. With much faith in Baba, he came up with the puja materials and not minding the protests of Maulvis did the puja and offered the Kakada Aarti to the body and went away. Then at noon, Bapu Sahib Jo came with all the others and went to the noon Aarti as usual. On the day following his Mahasamadhi, that is on 16th October, Baba appeared to Das Kanu in his dream at Pandarpur and said, The masjid has collapsed. All the oilmen and grocers of Shirdi have teased me a lot, so I left the place. I therefore came to inform you here. Go there quickly and cover me with bakhal flowers. The information that Das Ganu got through a letter from Shirdi only testified the truth of Baba's statement. So he came to Shirdi with all his disciples and started bhajan and kirtan and went on singing throughout the day before Mahasamadhi, which he garlanded. Later, he fed a large number of people in Baba's name. A little later, Baba appeared in the dream of another lady and told her to send the pitambar, light yellow silk dhoti, in her trunk to cover his Mahasamadhi. So she did. When the 30th day after Samadhi neared, he appeared in the dream of yet another devotee and told him to celebrate the day. So the latter did feed many people on that day. Thus Baba rightly declared, I shall be alive and vigorous from the tomb also. Even after my Mahasamadhi, I shall be with you the moment you think of me at any place. And he stands by his word even today, and that is taking Samadhi. It is death that's dead, not he. Jai Sai Master.